Good evening. Direct taxes are considered to be progressive. Indirect taxes are considered to be regressive. I repeat, direct taxes are progressive. Indirect taxes are regressive. What is the meaning of this? Before we go for understanding this one, let me explain you what exactly is the meaning of the word tax. Tax is a compulsion. Tax is a contribution made by an individual or a corporate to the government. We cannot escape, and every individual or the corporate must pay. But when it comes to income tax, in income tax we have various slabs. Say, for example, according to the latest slab, the people who are earning less than 3 lakh rupees per annum need not pay any income tax. But if you are crossing this 3 lakhs limit, so then, like slabs like 5%, 10%, 15, 20, and 30% are imposed on the individuals. This is how the government will be getting the revenue. So we cannot escape the tax, and we have to pay the tax, and tax is a compulsion, you need to understand. But if you look at our direct taxes and indirect taxes, indirect taxes are contributing more with respect to the net tax collection. But within this direct tax, so within the direct tax, you are coming across with the personal income tax on one side and corporate tax on the other side. What do you mean by this? So let me try to explain you in a detailed manner. When you look at the taxes, taxes are of two categories. One is a direct tax, second one is the indirect tax. Direct tax means the taxes paid by an individual or an organization to the government directly without any mediator. But when it comes to intermediate, when it comes to this indirect taxes, there is an intermediary, there is a mediator. I'll tell you some example. We are paying income tax. So when it comes to income tax, that is a direct tax, meaning individual is paying the tax directly to the government and there is no intermediary. Similarly, when it comes to the corporate tax, this is a direct tax paid by the organization to the government. But when it comes to GST, which is considered to be indirect tax, say for example, you go to a restaurant, you have nice food, you will enjoy over there. At the time of the payment of the bill, that restaurant owner also adds the GST. That restaurant owner is adding GST on behalf of the government. This is how the government will be earning the revenue. Without revenue, government cannot function. That is the reason why the government imposes taxes. No new taxes will come into the picture, and old taxes will be enhanced in order to enhance their income. Without income, government cannot function. You please understand this very, very clearly. Now, what's happening? So, after having food in the restaurant, you are paying the bill along with the GST. But that GST, which is paid by you, you are not paying directly to the government, but you are paying to the restaurant owner. Every month, this particular restaurant owner has to pay the GST collected from the customers to the government. That is the reason why it is called indirect tax. In indirect tax, you have a mediator. In direct tax, you have no mediator. But every rupee from the tax has to go to the government. Clear? And in this session, let's try to understand when it comes to our total tax collection that is increasing. And in that tax, you have direct and indirect taxes. But within direct taxes, you have the personal income tax on one side and corporate tax on the other side. Personal income tax is imposed on the individuals, corporate tax is imposed on the organizations. Both are direct taxes. Clear, both are income taxes. But if it is personal, it is called personal income tax. On the other side, it is called the corporate tax. But in the year 2019, BJP led government has drastically cut down the corporate tax. Since then, the collection from the corporate tax has been reduced. The intention of the government was different. If you cut down the corporate tax, more companies will come forward and there will be, the more employment opportunities, and that will lead to the more economic growth. But unfortunately, the share of the corporate tax in the income tax is coming down. So that is the matter of discussion today. Let's go ahead and look at the latest data that has been released by the government with respect to the latest information. The finance ministry released the provisional data that showed an uptick in the net tax collection. So overall tax collection is increasing. That's a good sign. This is mostly driven by an increase in the personal income tax and security transaction tax collection. This is increasing. That is the reason why direct tax is also increasing. On the other hand, the corporate taxes have reduced marginally. Reduction of the corporate tax, we can say this is because of the step that is taken by BJP led government in the year 2019. And the data is also revealing that the revenues from personal income tax and the securities transaction tax grew at almost double the pace compared to the revenues from the corporate taxes last year. So there is a huge gap between the personal income tax and the corporate tax. Clear? Look at this. The share of the corporate tax is being decreasing, and while that of the personal income tax has been increasing. What are the reasons for this? Let's try to understand. If you look at the latest figures of February 2024, the gap between the two tax shares has increased further, with income tax forming 28% of the gross tax, meaning the share of the income tax is increasing. And within the income tax, the personal income tax, that share is more when compared to the corporate tax. Clear? Look at this. So there is a sharp fall of the corporate tax since the financial year 2019 because the government has cut down the corporate tax for the reasons I have already explained it to you. So let's go ahead and discuss more points now. Look at this, very important one. When it comes to, the share of the direct taxes is decreasing while that of the indirect taxes is increasing. Regarding GST, I told you many times, and its contribution is increasing like anything. Direct taxes, which include taxes levied directly on the incomes of the corporations and individuals, are said to be progressive. Direct taxes are considered to be progressive because those who earn less are taxed less. Those who earn more will be taxed more. That is the reason why direct taxes are considered to be progressive. On the other hand, indirect taxes are considered to be regressive because all consumers, regardless of their income levels, pay the same amount of the tax. That is the reason why large number of people who may not be paying the income tax, but they are paying the indirect tax called GST. Clear? Very, very important. And that will not change from person to person. That is the reason why if you are going to a restaurant, the same amount of GST will be charged whether the person is poor, middle class or a rich person. Same amount is being charged, hence it is called regressive. And all the customers must pay, all the consumers must pay this tax, and that is the indirect tax. Example is the GST, goods and services tax, that has been introduced in India on July 1st, 2017. Kindly remember these points. So they may ask you in the examination, direct taxes are progressive, indirect taxes are regressive. Comment, and you should be able to comment on this, right? And if you look at a large number of people in India, they are filing the income tax returns, but their earnings are between 1 lakh and 5 lakh only. So obviously what is happening? Because though the range is very very large, the amount of tax collection from that group is really very small. But richer individuals who earn more than 50 lakhs are very very few. Is that okay? And if you look at the BRICS nations, BRICS economies, the effective personal income tax rate in India is the highest among these nations. Kindly remember, critics always criticize that the personal income tax is in India is much higher than any other country in the world. Is that okay? And that is the reason why some people will try to evade taxes. Clear? Kindly remember, evading tax is a crime. And nowadays, what are all the loopholes are there? They have been tightened up. That is the reason why escaping from tax payment is really a difficult task. If the person is caught, he has to pay huge amounts of penalty, and it will also attract imprisonment. Clear? Like this. So when it comes to India, the poorer citizens and the middle class category people are increasingly shouldering a high share of the tax burden. This is due to the combination of the rising share of the personal income tax and also indirect taxes in total revenue. Very 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 important one. So meaning existing tax structure that is burdening right more with respect to poor people and middle class category people. Is that clear? And I would like to show you two questions here. Kindly have a look at this. Look at this. Which of the following statements is or true? Direct taxes are regressive? Yes. No. Indirect taxes are progressive? No. Direct taxes are progressive and indirect taxes are regressive. Is that okay? So read the statement very clearly in the examination. Both are regressive? Wrong. Both are progressive? Wrong. So all the four statements are wrong here. That is the reason why none of the above should be our answer. Am I clear? That's it. Once you know the concept, you can recognize, you can go to the direct answer, right? So the answer is none of the above. Similarly, one simple and direct question. Which of the following countries in BRICS group has the highest effective personal income tax rate? Just now we have discussed China, Brazil, India, South Africa, and the answer is India. Clear? So like this, there is a possibility of the questions that are asked in the examination. So kindly look at every point very clearly and closely. And I'll stop here. I'll see you in the next session with more topics. Thank you so much. Take very good care.